Hello and welcome to episode 56 of Dorki's Entropia Universe report. I titled this episode MindArk Drops the Ball again, and I will shortly explain the reason behind that title to you. MindArk made a new announcement regarding the Yog Pet exploit on Wednesday 17th of June 2020. I will link the relevant thread in the video description and the comments below for those of you interested in reading the whole thing. The odds are that most of you already saw it, but many people do not check Planet Calypso forum all that often. So I think that thread is worth linking to if there is a chance that helps bring more attention to the matter. I originally wanted to make a video on this on Thursday, but decided to calm down a bit and make it part of this week's Dorki's report episode instead. Anyway, they started their announcement on the right foot by accepting the responsibility for the colossal screw-up their support staff managed to accomplish, and by announcing that they started an investigation into the matter with intention to compensate participants who were bamboozled out of their rightful prize in the past events. And then at the end of the statement, they just took a page out of Amber Heard's playbook and unapologetically shut the bet. If you are unsure what I meant by that, I was referring to that incident where she allegedly dropped a dookie on Johnny Depp's bed. Either way, MindArk just announced that punishing the cheaters would be unfair. My head started to hurt as I read that, and my brain went into overdrive trying to comprehend the logic behind that part of the statement. I am sure they have their reason for basically handing a get-out-of-jail-free card to a bunch of cheaters who likely stole hundreds of thousands of pets worth of high-end items from the community, but I am also more than sure that whatever their reason is, does not make it the right decision. Only 12 cheaters were mentioned for the current Summer Mayhem, but that is 12 cheaters who were already active in the first days of the competition. So it is more than likely there would have been way more shady characters using this exploit over the course of the whole event, as many of the Yog pets were probably being loaned between multiple avatars once the original owner completed their Mayhem runs. And some of the Yog owners might have been waiting for the last days of the event to join in, as I have seen that tactic from many players in the past events. Granted, most of the people leaving their competition runs for the last few days are honest players who are hoping to get lucky at the last moment and to leave no chance for the players whose score they just beat to give it another try. But if many non-cheaters do it that way, you can bet your arse that some of the cheaters opt for that approach as well. Anyway, my point is that MindArk is likely dealing with way more than 12 avatars here, and they probably already know roughly how many people abused this bug in at least the most recent mayhems. And pretty much every single cheater is guaranteed to be a heavy spender. Even if some of them withdraw more than they deposit, they still cycle through huge amounts of ped and generate revenue for MindArk, which I think is the most likely reason why they do not want to YOLO charge into that mob swinging their banhammer like a crazed mountain troll. However, the way they went about the issue of punishing the cheaters in their announcement is literally retarded. I guess whoever put that thing together did so in a hurry. because it was pretty obvious that part of the statement would set off a poop storm of epic proportions. Just about any vague statement about their intent to look into who might have won prizes unfairly in the recent events and how they will do their best to find a fair way to correct the situation would have been better. And by fair way to solve this issue, I do not by any stretch of the imagination mean that they should let the cheaters go scot-free. It would have given them more time to properly think through their approach to this situation without pissing off good chunk of their customers, and perhaps by the time they finished their investigation they would have been able to arrive at a conclusion that would satisfy most players. Either way, I will now share my opinion on the supposed unfairness of punishing the avatars who gained advantage through this bug in the past events. First off, stripping the prizes from players who gained advantage through this bug should be done wherever possible, regardless of whether it was obvious they intentionally used the exploit to their advantage or not. They had an unfair advantage against other competitors regardless of their knowledge of the bug or lack thereof. In other words, they were cheating and breaking the rules no matter their intentions. That is how it usually works in any competition. At best, the severity of punishment might depend on whether it was intentional or not, but not whether the winner will get disqualified from the competition or keep the prize if the breach of rules was discovered after the prizes have been handed out. And on top of that, even the official Mayhem announcements contain the following statement under the Rules and Notes section. Any attempt at abusing team mechanics or any other Entropia Universe systems or features in order to gain an unfair advantage over other participants will be grounds for disqualification from the event, forfeiture of any prizes and possible sanctions imposed on one's Entropia Universe account. And yes, I do understand that getting back the past prizes from every single cheater is probably impossible at this point. However, that does not excuse MindArk from at least doing so whenever possible and doing what they can in rest of the cases. On another note, I consider the idea of innocent avatars getting caught up in this and punished unfairly to be a complete nonsense. We are primarily talking about the rare yoke pets here after all, not the more common ones that only give 10% excavator speed buff. These pets were selling for upwards of 10,000 ped and had a buff that was only useful for mining, as far as anyone who did not know about the exploit was concerned. These pets were being used heavily in instances that do not allow mining at all, so there is absolutely no reason for anyone to have that particular pet spawned there with the buff turned on all the time while they compete in a hunting event. And many people have pointed out this particular thing in the forum thread on Planet Calypso forum. So there is no excuse to consider stripping the people who used the exploit in past events off of their prizes as unfair. On the contrary, it is unfair to the rest of the community to let them keep those prizes or the money they got from selling the items they took from the Mayhem vendor. Anyway, what do I think would be fair punishment for the cheaters? Well, I think that the absolute minimum that MindArk should do to make this at least somewhat right, apart from making sure their support department steps up their game, is to take away any prizes from avatars that competed and won with this bugged mining buff active inside the Mayhem instances. If the avatar in question already used those placement tokens and M tokens, then just take away the item or the money they got for it, or stuff roughly in the same market value as what they gained by exploiting. And of course, automatically disqualify any avatars who used this exploit in any mayhem regardless of whether they won anything or not from all official events for at least the next couple of years. Then perhaps ban the cheaters for few months from the game if there is enough evidence for intentional exploitation of the bug, like trading the bugged pet between different avatars who competed as well, or chat logs with incriminating conversations. And that is all I want to say about this poopy situation right now. If I kept going on and on about all my thoughts on this matter, I would still be yapping on about it in few hours. Now let's get to my avatar progress and deed payouts in Entropia Universe. I went out for a few mining trips over the week and I did a few hunts as well. Overall, I came back with roughly as much as I had at the start. The good runs brought me just about the same amount of profit as the bad runs took away. But I managed to finish few missions and swing over 344,000 total skills, as well as gain a hit point. Now I have 229 hit points. If I remember correctly, the missions I finished were the 5000 zombies mission, rank 1 of Menk Chanks on Cyrene, the stage 1 mining mission for Zinc on Rocktropia, and couple ranks of Summer Mayhem creatures from the Codex. I did a small grind on those in the practice instances from whichever planet I was on at the time, when I felt like going in for some of those mutants. Either way, some of the mission rewards helped me reach level 39 in my animal looter profession. Funny how my looter level goes up, but I still feel like I am looting the same ass riddled with diarrhea most of the time. Most mobs bigger than few pack in kill cost still give me the same crappy returns as back when I was level 20 animal looter. The only notable improvement I have noticed happened on the punies and other tiny mobs. Anyway, I got the mining HoFs last week and decided to keep the footage for today's episode. That is the reason why you are seeing them in this video. But I did get a bunch of hunting globals and one mining global this week as well. I think I will mostly use my mining footage for today's video and keep the hunting footage for next week's episode, as I do not plan on playing all that much over the following week. I think I will mostly spend my time in Entropia Universe stuck at a crafting machine somewhere to gain some skills while I do not have the time to actively play the game. Either that or I will go sweat haters on Rocktropia during times when I am doing other stuff near my computer so that I can check in on my avatar at least once every hour or so. Otherwise, it would be a waste to just stand in front of the dry mob for a few hours at a time. The gains for defensive skills dry up pretty quickly once the mob has been on you for a while, and you need a new one to keep gaining skills, and obviously there is no sweat to be gained from the dry mob either. Where the deeds and shares are concerned, the week from Monday 15th to Monday 22nd of June 2020 was a bit less disappointing than the week before. Although the payouts for Arcadia Underground deeds, Arcadia Moon deeds, Crystal Palace shares and Ancient Greece shares were not stellar by any means. Anyway, the Ancient Greece shares finally paid out that 1 peg per share that has been teased at by all those Gorgon armor drops ever since the latest version update. There are still more than 663,000 Ancient Greece shares available for purchase at the 10 ped base price. Actually, the number of available shares was closer to 664,000 than the 663,000 when I took the footage for this video on Monday morning. I would say today morning, but I am not completely sure that I will manage to record this today. Neighbors are at it with the construction noises once again. Anyway, Crystal Palace shares paid out 2 peg per share, which is decent. It is not as good as 3 or 4 or more peg per share, but still can be considered a rather good payout. The cheapest stack of Crystal Palace shares available for purchase on Monday morning was priced at 18 ped and 88 peg, but the first bigger stack was priced at 18 ped and 90 peg. Arcadia Moon deeds gave their somewhat usual single payout of 1 peg per deed for the last week, and that was it. Also, it seems they still have not sold out in the webshop. Arcadia Underground deeds, on the other hand, paid out 4 times over the week. Sadly, all the payouts were only for 1 peg per deed this week. Although the lower payouts from Arcadian deeds right now are understandable with the Summer Mayhem event going on and the Calypsian summer migration being just around the corner. To conclude, I really hope MindArk listens to all the angry comments on Planet Calypso forum and punishes the cheaters to at least some semi-fair degree. I do not expect them to dish out proper punishment for all involved, because let's face it, most, if not all, of the avatars involved have high turnover of ped, and MindArk most likely does not want to go too hard on them to keep them in game and cycling ped, even if some of them withdraw more than they deposit. But it sure would be nice to at least see them stripped off of their prizes that they cheated for and get at least a light punishment on top of that. This would send a message that abusing bugs is not okay, even if said exploit only steals from the other players and not from the MindArk directly. Because so far, the message they have been sending out almost consistently for years is that exploiting only gets punished harshly when the player steals from MindArk directly, and the punishment is absent or very light when the exploiter only steals from other players. That is not the way to build and nurture a healthy and loyal community. Anyway, moving on, the share and deed payouts for the deeds I own was fairly lackluster for the week, although the Crystal Palace shares did alright. On the other hand, my avatar progress was decent for the fairly limited time I spent playing, and considering the fact that I only cycled through couple thousand ped over the week. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode despite the fairly dark topic I was discussing in the first half of it, and I wish you a pleasant rest of the day. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. Thank you.